Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. Today we're going to take a look at one of Raging Hero's spider, elf, queen, drow models, driders, whatever you want to call them, that were part of their Loud and Raging Patreon. And these models, while a little complex looking, I figure we're going to talk really quick just how to put them together. So I just have a sample right here. I forget the exact name, but I'll put it in the title and the description, obviously. This was an interesting model just because, coincidentally, it is obviously based on an earlier model. You can tell there is differences there, but obviously the headdress, the style with the hair, but I'm not making this up, big blades as well. Very, very similar looking weapons. So anyway, I just thought that was a fun, interesting little touch, and I know that they did use some other dark elf models, lust elves, whatever they call them, as basis for some of these other spider monster people they have. So usually what they're going to do is they're going to consist of the front and back of the body, basically the abdomen, and there's something you're going to want to notice and pay attention to is, hopefully you did a decent job printing them, like I didn't do the first few times, but I've learned from my mistakes, is you want to look for what kinds of markings for the legs are on each side. In this case we have circles on the left, squares on the right. So you got to make sure you print it nice and carefully when you build this. You're going to want to look for the longest limbs. These are going to go in the front. And again, so we have the squares on one side, circles on the other. So you have the long ones that stick out to the front. You have the smaller, more open supporting ones behind that. You have the arched, really high up set of legs for the third pair, and then finally you have the smallest set in the back to help put some weight on the back for support. So as an example, we've got our executrix or whatever she was called right here, and you can see how we have the largest in the front, support, big arch, and then the small one in the back to help put the model together. So took me a couple times, and I built a few of these now, and I just thought I would share that. And real quick, if you're curious how big these are, I'm going to grab her, we're going to spray her, glue her, and I'll show you what they look like when they're all finished up as well. And hopefully I'll be able to get her all set up so that all those legs actually do touch the ground. And they do have bases available as well, but I don't have a print bed that's going to fit them, or a printer that's working at the moment, so I'm kind of out of luck, and they're just going to have to scuttle around on the table like that. So let's get her put together, and I'll show you how she turns out. Alright, we got our spider lady all put together here. Double check, her name is Yelzikith, the goddess champion. So let's zoom that back a little bit. Okay. So, construction-wise, everything looked great. Everything looked like it was supposed to go where it was supposed to, but everything did not work out the way it should have. So, double checking, I looked at the actual renders, and all of her legs, first of all, I guess aren't supposed to be on the ground, but to me that doesn't really give her a good sense of balance. So I kind of just fudged it, threw some green stuff in there, and made sure we have more legs on the ground just to keep things nice and steady. I also noticed that none of the joints actually fit the legs in there. I had to clean out every single one of them in order to get things to fit. That was not as fun. So looking at her, she's a little bit shorter than her buddy here, the executioner, whose name I cannot remember. But I think it's more just due to how her legs are actually, closer to the ground. Whereas, if we grab, let's say, the goddess herself, the spider goddess right here. Again, these are just, I printed everything at the regular size, didn't play around with it too much, just to give you guys a good indication. So, the goddess herself is quite large, with her elf form there. Where is our Inquisitor friend? Now, Raging Heroes did have the files available if you wanted to print her in super gigantic form. That would be quite daunting of task, but it looked like it'd be a really cool model to have. of course, in the past, Raging Heroes did have a big giant spider, demon, monster goddess, so it would be in good company, I guess. Overall, I really like the concept of these spider champions. I think visually they're quite neat. They're big and impressive. Usually when I see spider people, I'm not super impressed. They're usually kind of tiny and small, and I don't really care for them. However, these, you can see, they're pretty good size. I have no idea how big they'd be with the bases. I'm not even going to bother. But my big worry and takeaway from this is that the way they keyed the parts, it just led to a lot of fiddliness, I think. This is, well, no, I was going to say, these are pre-supported files too, so that's not an issue there. One of the things that perhaps in the future, maybe Raging Heroes might want to go back and look at how each of the individual legs, maybe make it a bit more simpler to attach. My thought would be something like have a core where the legs are, like, you know, all four, like the cores of them, have a big, nice, easy slot, plug them into the body, and then have the actual legs as separate pieces. Actually, what I would do is make all the legs segments equal, and then have, like, you know, have them cut maybe about here, so that way it would be a little bit easier to place and just make things smoother and easier, because getting all those legs to balance, whatever the model is always something of a challenge. So just to make things easier for everybody. But overall, I gotta say, it was a really cool set. If you're interested, do take a look at Raging Heroes My Mini Factory page if you want to try printing them yourself. I do believe, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that they are going to offer up resin physical models of the spiders. Either they already are, or in the very near future. So if you do want some and you don't want to mess with this mess of trying to print them yourself, do take a look. I would trust Raging Heroes physical prints. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a while. And honestly, I've built enough of their actual physical released models that I would feel pretty good about giving these a try. However, since I've already got access to them on the computer, it seems kind of redundant for me to do that. If any of you out there do end up picking up some of these as physical releases, do let me know in the comments section, as I'm quite curious if they're going to have a similar construction, or maybe if they simplify it a little bit, because I think in the end it would be better for everyone, because who wants unhappy hobbyists and modelers, right? With that said, we'll put a link down below, and hopefully you guys found this of some use. This has been High Lord Chamberlain with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.